Hi friends, it's Miss Amy and it is Friday, March 27th, and today we're going to talk about fine motor skills while we're eating because that is something I never really talked about with a lot of parents, and I think that it's something that would help you while you're at home. Since we can't be at school, everybody is home and everybody has to stay in their house most of the time. And if you go outside, you can't be near anybody, and it's all very strange. And all of us are having just as much difficulty dealing with that. So, today, we're going to talk about different skills. First, I'm going to go through spoon skills. This is a spoon. Tell your mom what it is if you can. It's a spoon. So, the first way, this is oatmeal. Miss Amy's going to eat some oatmeal. So, the first thing that we do with spoon skills is we use our hand in a gross grasp. And we hold it like this. Sometimes your child may put their thumb up like this. It's actually better for it to be down like this, but whichever way they do it, this is what they do first when they're feeding themselves, and then they put it in their mouth. Now, when they put it in their mouth, they may not close their lips. They may get some on their face. When they get some on their face, you can teach them napkin skills. So if Miss Amy does this, you're gonna have a napkin to wipe your face. Some of my friends don't have as much forearm control and they can't turn their spoon towards them, or they kind of comes up straight to their lips like that. So you want to try to teach them to turn it towards you. Now that's easier when you hold it like this. You have your thumb here and you have your finger here. It's almost like writing. So the spoon is balancing here. Now I know at home you may have big spoons for your kids. These may be harder to use and teach this skill because it's going to be really big in this part of their hand. So you may want to switch it up and try to figure out which works for your kids. But when you're here, you have all your fingers and it's much easier to turn the spoon so it goes in your mouth. Hang on. The sun is deciding to come in my video. Oh boy. All right. I think you still can see me. So we're going to keep on going. Excuse that sun. This is what is many of your favorites, Cheerios. Mine are Very Berry Cheerios today. And I am going to do something else. I have milk and I put it in my little thing that I almost never use. It's my tiny little pitcher that I would do if I had coffee or tea at a party. But I don't use that very much, so I'm going to use it today for your OT session for our spoon use. So teaching your child how to pour teaches them how to grade movements. Now remember, they're going to probably try to go too fast or too slow. So we need to make sure we pour really slowly into our cereal and then stop. All right. So again, it's best to hold it like this. If you hold it like this, you're going to do this. That's not how you eat. So it's better to hold it with your fingers when you're trying to get into the cereal, and then you put it in your mouth. And then you have to chew and not choke on your food. So then you put it in your mouth. Again, one of the biggest problems that kids have is what we call spillage. That it spills like this, or it spills out of their mouth as they're turning it in. So your child's improving if they actually get it in their mouth and that they are able to then just pull it out and chew. When kids are initially starting, sometimes they won't keep holding their spoon. That's fine. That's fine. Have them do 2 and you do 1. That's a great way of doing that. All right, so that's pretty much it for spoon use, except for stirring. It's okay to have gross grasp when stirring. It's also good to sometimes use what we call a pronated tripod grasp, which is basically, I won't get my chorizo everywhere, which is basically what you're doing when you're holding this, but it's not pronated. Pronated means your hand is pointing down. Supinated means your hand is pointing up. So this is a supinated grasp, and this is a pronated. But when you're stirring, like if you're scraping off the edges, you would turn your hand down like that. Okay, let me go to the next food. So now we're going to talk about a fork and a knife. So when you cut, or let's start with just fork. So fork you could do different things with. You can, let's see, I got to get my plate. So something soft, like an egg that Miss Amy's having here for breakfast this morning, you cut with your side of your fork. That's something for older kids. It's like this. You're pushing down on that pointer so that you can get it down. That's something for older kids. I wouldn't suggest that for the preschoolers. But with the preschoolers, let's see if I can stab this egg on us. Okay, so with the preschoolers, it's working on stabbing the food and then putting it in your mouth and making sure it makes it in there and making sure you don't poke yourself with the fork. It goes in your mouth. I'm not going to eat that now because I don't think I can keep talking if I eat that right now. Maybe I can. Okay, next we're going to talk about a knife. Actually, before we talk about that, we're going to just go over one more thing with a fork. With a fork, you can also, see I'm cutting it right now with the side of my fork. With a fork, you can also slide it underneath. I think some of you do that with rice. Some of you do that with some of your foods at school. So that is another way you can use your fork. If you are one of my older kids, it would be great if you started to learn to use a knife, right? So this right here is a tripod grasp. I have to do that with my non-dominant hand, or because I think it's easier to cut with my right hand. Some of your parents may do it the other way around. You may just keep your fork in the same hand all the time. Parents, that's personal preference, but for your child's learning and their fine motor skills, holding the knife in their dominant hand would probably be easier because that's the one doing the action. This one's staying still, and this one's doing the action. So I'm going to put my hand in this knife in my dominant hand, and I have that same thing I did with the fork. I put my pointer on the top. My hands are holding it down. I'm pronated. This hand is pronated too because it'll be easier to come up and eat. So when I push down, I push against the plate, the meat and the plate, and then I can pick it up and put it in my mouth. Cutting is a higher level skill, so make sure your children do the lower level skills first and then work up to cutting. Great way to practice this if you don't want to necessarily make mealtime be a mess and you don't want food to go to waste, because I know right now everybody's a little strapped for food, is get some Play-Doh out and do it with Play-Doh and practice all those skills with Play-Doh. That would keep your kids busy too for a little while. Just be careful if one of your children tends to eat non-food items. That's not a good idea. So since it's Friday, I won't see you again till next week. But I hope you have a great weekend with your family, and I'll see you here again on Monday. I miss all of you. Bye-bye.